Hello everyone. Recently, UPSC Civil Services Mains examination was conducted. While many of you must have appeared for the exam, most of you must be preparing for it. Regardless of that, it is really important to look at the question paper to see the kind of questions UPSC has been asking, to know the demands of this exam, and to analyze the trend which UPSC has been following in different areas. So today in this session, I will be dealing with you the questions which were asked in GS Mains paper 2 from International Relations sections. Now this year, following the past trend of UPSC, it asked 4 questions from International Relations. 2 questions were there which were of 10 marks each and 2 questions were there of 15 marks each. It combines to the weightage of 50 marks, which is generally the pattern UPSC follows for international relations. So we'll take a look at the questions which were there in this year exam and then try to make few observations about the kind of questions it has been asking, right? So we'll start with the first question. This was question number 9 in GS Mains paper 2. The question is, virus of conflict is affecting the functioning of SCO. In the light of the above statement, point out the role of India in mitigating problems. This was of 10 marks. So you get 150 words to answer this question, right? Look at this question. What do you understand by it? What are the few parts that you can make from this? See, before trying to attempt any question, we should break it into few parts, look at what is the main theme which the question is revolving around and what are the key words which we have to address in the main content, right? So this question, virus of conflict is affecting the functioning of SCO. In the light of the above statement, point out the role of India in mitigating problems. See, if you look at this question, you can analyze that the question, it is about SCO, but it is not asking you about the organizational structure, the aims and objectives as the question was there 2 years back, right? And it is, the main question is also not about the conflicts in SCO. You have to understand that this is just a statement which UPSC has given to us. And in the light of this statement, the main question is role of India in mitigating the problems. We have to enumerate the role of India in mitigating problems in SCO, right? So the main question, the demand of question is role of India. But now we have to organize this answer in 2 pages, right? For a 10 marker question, we get 2 pages. And in that we have to address all the demands of the question. So how would you write it? For example, take till here the question would be there, right? Now what is the central theme of this question? As I told you, the central theme is SCO, right? Generally in introduction, we have to address the central theme, but we have a statement here, right? So this has to become a part of the introduction. So how can you introduce this statement? What will you write in the introduction? The introduction part, we can mention few things, few data about SCO and then start on mentioning few conflicts. So introduction which can come up till here, right? It would include SCO and it would include conflicts, right? For conflicts you can make a small diagram, a flowchart kind of thing, right? This would become the introduction for this answer. Now from here, the main body will start. What will you write in the body, the main content of the question? It would be the role of India in mitigating those problems. So we'll give a headline, and the headline, it should be the subheading, it should be taken from the question itself. So you can write role of India in mitigating the problems, and then you can write number of points to address the demand, right? Till here we have organized our answer, right? And then in the end we can give a conclusion. How can we conclude this? See, we know that this question, it was there. Generally international relations questions, they are taken from the current affairs, right? So India, it assumed presidentship of SCO in 2023, and in the light of that statement, in the light of the importance of SCO, this question could be asked, right? So in conclusion, we can throw a light upon increasing role of India in this grouping, right? So this is how we can tackle the demand of this question. Alright, this is how you can organize this in 2 pages in 150 words. So this question on SCO, it is an international institution, right? And international institutions, it has become a very favorite part of UPSC across all the 3 stages of the exam, not just the mains exam. International institutions, every year questions are being there, right? So we'll just look the importance of international institutions and the kind of questions UPSC has been asking from this topic, right? In prelims, we have seen fact-based questions are there. In 2023 paper itself, there was a question on G20, right? UPSC has asked question about the BIMSTEC. It's a multinational grouping. Institutions such as FATF, right? We have seen previous year questions from international institutions in prelims. Every year, around 2 questions are there from international institutions, right? In mains also, international institutions, we have seen questions are being asked time again, but the kind of questions here are different. Functions of those institutions, generally they are asked. For example, last year question on SCO was about its aims and objectives, right? Such kind of questions are asked. A question was asked around WHO, the role it could play during the COVID-19 crisis, right? So in mains, the pattern becomes different. And India's role has also been asked, right? For example, in this question, role of India in mitigating the problems. So in mains, these kind of questions are there in from the international institutions. And the third stage, the interview stage, also questions are being asked. For example, the Russia-Ukraine war, as it was in great news, so questions were there regarding NATO, right? The developments which were made in NATO regarding its expansion, and also the NATO plus initiative as it was increasing, right? Apart from it, UN reforms, right? So the institutions, they are important across the 3 stages of UPSC, and we have to look at the institutions in this light only, right? So we need to prepare these international institutions in such a manner to address the demands of all the 3 stages collectively, right? So see, since this question it is focusing about SCO, we'll see how we can prepare it, but we can also see a general framework which we can take for all the other international institutions, right? So if you look that how we should come to prepare, see this time question has been asked on SEO, another question would be, next time question would be there from another international institution, right? But I am giving you just this framework, so you can put this in mind and see how you can prepare well, right? So membership, first you have to see what all countries are member of one institution, right? For SEO, you should see whether India is a member or not, whether it is a founding member or not, right? For example, if the question could be on ASEAN, so you have to know that India is not a member of ASEAN, but we have a strategic partnership with it. So membership, it's important to know who all are the members. One, a question would be there in prelims regarding membership, right? A question was asked in FATF, whether India is a member of that or not, right? So in prelims question could be asked, in mains you will get a perspective to how to address that question. For example, ASEAN, if you know that India is not a member, so how engagements would be made, right? So membership is important. If we look at the SCO, India is a member of SCO, right? If it's a small grouping, see in Shanghai Cooperation Organization, we have only 9 countries. So you can remember the name of few of major countries, right? So who are the member states? You can look at Iran has also become a member of SCO. So new members you have to look at more carefully, right? So membership becomes important. Then the focus areas. What are the areas? What are the objectives of a grouping of international institutions which it seeks to achieve, right? For example, if we say another grouping, we can take G20, right? It's largely focusing upon the economic cooperation, right? If we talk about SCO, it's mainly for fostering security, right? BIMSTEC, if we take technical and economic cooperation is sought in BIMSTEC. So the objectives also lead you to answer few questions. See, every year questions are asked which could not be predicted, right? So you have to have some framework that whatever kind of questions would be asked, you would be able to write something at least, even if you have not studied about the current developments or some news which can help you in that, right? So this framework, it would help you in answering all the questions of international institutions. So focus areas should be known. Apart from it, functioning, what are the organizational structures? For example, G20, we have 2 tracks, the Sherpa track and the finance track. So you would know that, okay, track 2 diplomacy would be there, right? In SCO, you know that 2 permanent bodies are there, the RATS organization, I can say, Regional Anti-Terrorism Squad, right? So you know that the focus would be there on terrorism, on security. So the kind of organizational structure an institution have also throws light upon its functions and the role it plays, right? You can also see the kind of how the functioning is taking place. For example, in SCO, consensus based decisions are there, right? The decisions are made after building the consensus among the members. And if you see in the light of this membership, see in SCO you can see diverse members are there, and when the decisions they are being made following the consensus, you can think that there would be a challenge in the institution regarding the regarding the convergence of interest, right? So from these you can also see what challenges could be there in an institution, right? And how it can be made more effective, right? In that perspective, you can also look at India's role, how India has fared in that grouping. For example, if I talk about the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, India became its full member in 2017 in the Astana Summit. After that, India, it has assumed its presidentship for the first time in 2023, right? India gave this acronym SECURE in the Qingdao Summit, and the theme for 2023 presidentship is also towards a secure SCO. Now this highlights India's importance to the various areas, as SECURE stands for security, economic development, connectivity, unity, regional sovereignty and integrity, and environment cooperation. So these are the areas where India is willing to work upon, right? So you can see where India is playing a major role in the institution, right? So this is how you can go on preparing the international institutions, which forms a very important part in the UPSC exam, right? So we have seen how international institutions can be prepared. Now we should come back to the question. The question, virus of conflict is affecting the functioning of SCO. In the light of the above statement, point out the role of India in mitigating problems. So introduce this. How could you write the introduction? See, as I said, write 1 or 2 lines about SCO, or rather restrict yourself to one line only, as it is not asking you about SCO only. You would not write who all are the members, where is it headquarters, right? You would not write all of that, because you have to make a point that there are some conflicts which are affecting the functioning of SCO, right? So I have taken this statement here. SCO, it's a Eurasian political, economic and military security organization formed in 2001. See, if you look at this statement, it gives you many facts within a very limited amount of words. So such statement, they fetch you more marks in UPSC exam while limiting your words to the word limit, right? It highlights that SCO is a Eurasian. Now you know the region where it is focusing, where it is working, right? It's a political, economic and military security organization. You get an idea about its objectives, right? What it seeks to achieve, political, economic and military security, alright? So you get idea about its working and the objectives, and it is formed in 2001. So this one line independently, it can fetch you 1 marks in the exam, right? So short introduction which gives you more facts, they become generally very impressive in the answer writing. As you see, the first statement, it is about virus of conflict, and that is not the main question, but you have to bring this statement in your introduction itself. So you can just make a flowchart like this, right? You can mention some conflicts, 3-4 conflicts can be mentioned. So this would form part of introduction, right? Conflicts, if I explain them, see, we have territorial disputes, inter-regional, inter-member conflicts are there regarding the territorial boundaries, such as we have a dispute between India and China. With India and Pakistan we have a dispute, right? Diverging interest, as I told you earlier, the membership also is very diverse. So national interest, they also become diverse and narrow. Different priorities are there. For example, China, see, economic agenda is main priority of China, right? If you look at India, connectivity is the main focus area for India. We can take example of Russia, which is mainly focusing upon its security, right? So all these examples of diverging interest, they are creating conflict in functioning of SCO. Other conflict, security concerns. As this region, it is getting affected, or globally also terrorism is rising. An increasing emerging challenge of cyber security is also there, right? Geopolitical tensions, as the situation has evolved in Afghanistan with the coming of Taliban and withdrawal of US forces. Apart from this, the renewed interest of United States in the Indo-Pacific region, it also become an area of tension for the global grouping, right? Economic disparities. See, as the members are diverse, their national interests are different, but their economies are also different. If we look at the economies of these three countries, Pakistan, India and China, we see that we have started more or less during the same time. But look at the situation of China, then you look at the situation in India, and then how Pakistan it is dealing with the economic crisis. So all these disparities which are there in the grouping, the asymmetries which it creates, it hamper the functioning of SCO. Now these would be the few concerns that you could just highlight in the introduction to make the examiner understand that you have understood the demands of the question, right? And the main highlight which comes from this statement is regarding the role India can play. You have to make them understand that conflict is not the main demand of the question, right? So we have seen conflict. Now we'll look how to address the main demand of the question, right? How to write the main content. So we'll make a subheading, role of India in mitigating problems. You have to take this statement from the question, right? So you have to be in sync with the question's words. Same statement can be here. And now you have to think what all areas are there where India plays a major role in mitigating the problems in SCO. Alright. So I'll share some of the points. For example, economic engagement. It is generally said that economic interdependence in SCO, it is not at the level of G7, and many fallouts are there because of low economic engagement. So how can India improve this economic engagement? We can look in trade facilitation, investment and business collaboration. This could be different areas which would improve the economic ties and also reduce the conflict risk. Few examples can be the regional infrastructure projects such as the International North-South Transport Corridor. It connects the European Union through Russia to India, Iran, right? The Chabahar port, which India has made in Iran to connect it to Afghanistan. The Vladivostok China sea lane of communication, it connects India to the Russia's far east. So these all could be examples where India is playing a role in increasing the economic engagements within this institution, right? Next point, counter-terrorism. See, the main aim of SCO, it was to combat the three evils of terrorism, separatism and extremism. So counter-terrorism is main area where India plays a major role. You can take few examples such as appeal to youth. It was a leaders summit where the leaders call out for appeal to youth mainly against the radicalization, right? India took part in the SCO Peace Mission in 2018, which was against the counter-terror measures, towards the counter-terror measures, right? And India is also looking at expanding its collaboration with the RATS, Regional Anti-Terrorism System, which is there in SCO, right? So counter-terrorism is main function which area where India can play a role. Apart from it, leveraging soft power, India exercises huge amount of soft power, and it can be increased with the help of cultural exchanges and people-to-people interactions. Few examples can be taken, such as the SCO Food Festival. It was organized by India in 2019. Our Honorable Prime Minister, he has established Sufi linkages with the Central Asia, right? And the SCO Digital Exhibition, this was launched in New Delhi, which highlights the common Buddhist heritage. So with this, India can play an active role in bringing the people together, in strengthening the cultural and historical ties between the region, right? Territorial disputes, as I said, many territorial disputes are there within the countries. India, we have a history of peaceful conflict resolution, right? India-Bangladesh land boundary agreement, which can be seen as a major example where diplomacy can solve the long-standing territorial issues. It can be taken as an example for all, right? And India can actually take a lead in participating in the issues which Tajikistan and Kyrgyzstan are also facing these days, right? So peaceful conflict resolution mechanism can be developed by India, all right? Another point, energy cooperation. See, as diverse members are there are two set of members in this grouping, and which two regions we can say, one is energy deficient and another is energy rich. So the collaboration in energy, it would actually reduce the gap between those regions, right? For example, the SCO Energy Club, it has been made within the SCO to transform the SCO region into a self-sufficient energy grouping. So this would go a long way. Tapi pipeline project, which India is also part of, it can also ensure energy security in the region, right? This was also increase the interdependence between the country, further reducing the conflict risk, right? So these could be the main points where India play a major role, right? Other points, educational ties. India in 2023 only, the Foreign Ministry, it launched this program, Chairmanship Fellowship Program, where young leaders, scientists and the professional academicians, they all can come together for collaborating upon different areas, right? India organized the SCO Young Scientist Conclave for the first time. The technical and educational programs which India has been taking in Central Asia, it enhances the bilateral ties within the region, right? And they can be further expanded to make the grouping more engaged. Apart from it, India's example, successful initiatives in telemedicine or tele-education in Africa, they can play a role model for this grouping as well, right? Another area of cooperation, another area where India can play a major role is in climate change. India can share its expertise in sustainable development and environmental cooperation as well as conservation in the region. For example, the International Solar Alliance, India should actively try to engage more of the SCO members within this organization, right? Other areas, innovative collaboration, Indian initiatives, India has taken some initiatives to foster the collaboration in new areas. Task Force on Startup and Innovation, a SCO working group on traditional medicine. These are the Indian initiatives which India takes to share the innovative growth technologies. India promotes the establishment of SCO technological parks which would help in technology transfer across the region. And the SCO e-commerce platform, India is also playing a major role in that. So by this, economic engagements would also increase and innovation would lead to the growth of region as a whole, right? Cyber security, it is emerging area where India can play a major role. India had also organized a 2-day seminar on securing the cyberspace frontiers for the SCO delegates, right? So this, in this region also, as the problem is emerging, so India can play a major role in tackling this problem, right? Food security, as such global challenges are emerging, food security is also a major area which India should play a role in. Examples, India's life approach, the approach which India is taking towards a circular economy, towards a setup where very low amount of wastage would be there, right? So it can help other nations as well. Promotion of millets, India is actively promoting millets. The year 2023 is also declared as Year of Millets by the United Nations. So India is playing a major role towards food security as well, right? Disaster resilience, India has gained many skills through the satellite operations, right? Through in the area of weather forecasting. So all these can help the region and the countries to mitigate the disaster risks, right? So disaster resilience infrastructure would also be an area where India and the SCO members could collaborate. All right. Dialogue diplomacy. See, India, it actually actively participates in all the SCO meetings and the forums, and this can help India to leverage its diplomatic skills, right? Following the Wuhan summit, Wuhan spirit from SCO, it is focusing on the cooperative engagement. So it even led to the China to take a very neutral stance during the India-Pakistan conflicts in the post-Pulwama times, right? So such diplomatic engagements would also go a long way in curbing the long-standing issues as well, right? Cooperation would be furthered in the countries. So these all points you can write in role of India in mitigating those challenges in SCO. All right. And the last part of the question then would be about conclusion. How would you conclude it? So you can give a fact that we understand the increasing importance of SCO as India is holding the membership chairpersonship of SCO in 2023, and in the light of that statement you can promote more role of India in SCO. So this conclusion, the ongoing Indian presidency of SCO, we have given this one fact here, right, should further strengthen the Shanghai spirit. You have also given a key word here, which is based on mutual trust, equal and open dialogue. So there's scope for India to enhance its role in SCO, right? The ongoing presidentship, it provides an opportunity to further strengthen the Shanghai spirit within the organization. This would be a very good conclusion. You have given a link to the current affairs and a key word which is generally associated with this grouping. You can also write, you have to just give a one-line conclusion, because that is the scope left in answering a 10 marks question. So just be very concise with conclusion and introduction, right? I have given this 2 statements, so you can choose according to your preference. So just like India came to terms with Indo-Pacific, it needs to bring Eurasia in its strategic bookkeeping, right? So you promote India's focus towards Eurasia, right? And giving this keywords here also will give you more marks. You can also combine these lines to write one better conclusion as well, right? So this is how you could have tackled this question on virus of conflicts which are affecting the functioning of SCO, which was given an introductory statement, and in the line of that statement, the main question regarding the role of India in mitigating those problems, it is answered, right? So this is how you could have attempted this question. Let's move on further to another question. Look at this question. Indian diaspora has scaled new heights in the West. Describe its economic and political benefit for India. The diaspora, it is very less touched upon area in international relations. Till now, only 2 questions were asked, and this is the 3rd time a question has been asked on diaspora, right? But it's kind of a low-hanging fruit, because it was a very predictable question, right? A static part, it was directly given in the paper, so it gives you more scope to write a better answer, as you must be well prepared for this, right? So for this question also, 10 marks, you would get 2 sheets, right? You have to address the question in this. Here your question would come, and how would you organize the rest of space to answer this question? Let's break the question. Indian diaspora has scaled new heights in the West. So diaspora, particularly in the West, is being talked about, and what we have to answer is economic and political benefits for India. See, a question previously, it was asked regarding political and economic benefit for the Western countries. So you have to keep in mind that now the benefits, they are asked for India and not their country of residence, right? So benefits for India. So the central theme here can be the role played by diaspora, the importance of diaspora for India, right? Our Prime Minister has also highlighted the importance of diaspora when he says that the Indian intellectual brain, if it is going out of the country, it is not actually brain drain but brain gain. So Prime Minister, he has time and again highlighted importance of diaspora, right? He calls diaspora as a strategic asset in the nation building or nation development. So diaspora is important, that is the central theme, right? And you have to bring it in the introduction. But the question is specifically asking you about diaspora in West. Now you have to show what do you understand by West, right? Which all countries you are focusing upon. So it is a limiting word because we have diaspora in Gulf region, right? We have diaspora in Southeast region, but specifically we have to restrict ourselves to West. So in the introduction, we can look at the role played by diaspora in West. What is the importance of diaspora in Western countries, right? So we can introduce it here. This can be used for introduction, right? We can give some fact about diaspora and then highlight that we have understood that the question is focusing on the West only, right? So the two parts, the economic and political benefits, they would come in the main content, the body. So you can give a heading here, economic benefits. It's a 10-mark question, so you can write 56 points each. It can come up till here, right? Here you can start political benefits. You can come up till here and then conclusion. So this is how you can organize your space of 2 pages for attempting this answer, right? In conclusion, you can write India's approach towards diaspora. See, if it is this important, you have highlighted the importance of diaspora. So you should also understand what government is doing for them, right? How government looks to engage them more. So this all can be written in conclusion. Alright. Since this question is about diaspora, and as I said, it can be a low hanging fruit since a direct question, direct subject topic from syllabus is given and very direct questions have been asked till now. So for this also you can take a framework for how you can prepare the diaspora, right? So first you can understand how the diaspora is spread. But all countries, major presence of diaspora can be seen. For example, this time West has been asked, another time Gulf can be asked, right? South Asian regions can be asked. Alright. So you need to see what are the major areas where diaspora is spreading. Another, what are the benefits of diaspora? See, diaspora, it actually plays major role and we have examples from throughout the world. For example, if we take China, China's economic transformation, which is mainly led by the foreign direct investment, it was actually hugely contributed by the Chinese diaspora, right? Apart from it, the Jewish diaspora in the United States, it has also helped stable ties of United States with the Israel. So diaspora is actually very beneficial. For India also we'll see how it plays a major role, but this is how we can actually prepare the answer. We can see that okay, from Gulf we are getting major economic remittances, right? For example, economy of Kerala, it is hugely benefited by the remittances from Gulf countries. So we have to look at the benefits which are also region specific, as UPSC is following that trend. So that is the point of looking at the questions and the previous year question also. You make an analysis that these are the kind of questions UPSC has been asking, and these are the lines on which we can prepare to answer the questions, right? Apart from it, the challenges, we should also look what are the challenges which India faces, Indian diaspora faces. General challenges with Indian diaspora are of heterogeneity, right? Indian diaspora in the so diverse region, for example for Gulf, there are mainly demands for welfare measures, right? From more developed regions such as the United States, the demands are regarding more investment opportunities, right? So heterogeneity of diaspora is there, which is challenging for India. Apart from it, what are the challenges? The anti-globalization, right? A wave of nationalist tendencies, it is going across the world and it is creating problems for our diaspora also. These are few challenges where you can think upon and prepare accordingly. As if question comes in the exam, you have some material to write in the exam, right? Other challenges could also be there, that there are some negative fallouts of diaspora as well. For example, the recent Khalistani issue that we are seeing, the irritants which are there in India and Canada, ties from the Khalistani movement as it is emerging, they are evident. So the challenges our diaspora should also be prepared according to that. And lastly, we can see the initiatives which our government has taken, right? Diaspora constitutes a very important constituent of our population. So government take various initiatives such as the Pravasi Bharatiya Divas, which has been focusing by the coming governments in the recent years very much. So you can also prepare according to this framework for diaspora, right? Predictable questions are there from diaspora. So if you prepare according to these lines, generally you would write a good answer. So now we'll come to the question. Indian diaspora has scaled new heights in the West. Describe its economic and political benefits. So first you have to write introduction, right? How would you write the introduction? By showing that importance of diaspora in the Western countries, right? You can give some facts that according to World Migration Report 2022, with over 20 million people, Indian diaspora is the largest across the world. So this is a fact about role of diaspora or importance of diaspora, that India, it is having the largest diaspora in the world. So it must be very important for India, right? But the question, it is specifically focusing upon the West. So you need to give an impression in the introduction itself that you have understood that the diaspora we are focusing upon, it is from the West, right? You can give some examples along with such a flow chart. For example, from United States, who all come to your mind when we take example of diaspora from United States? United States, we have many examples. You can take few such as Sundar Pichai, right? Or you can take example of Kamala Harris, the Vice President of United States, right? Other country, United Kingdom, Britain, you can take very popular example of Rishi Sunak, Prime Minister of UK, right? Another area, you can take Canada. Who all are there in Canada? Less popular but very influential. Bharti Mukherjee is there. We can take example of Ujjal Dosanjh. He was the health minister in Canada. See, these all other diaspora is also there, but I have taken these names which represent just a fraction of the huge successes which Indian diaspora has achieved in West, right? Apart from the region, you could also like write in the example that in the business and the entrepreneurship area, Sundar Pichai and other examples such as Indra Nui, so the CEO of PepsiCo. So these examples can be taken area wise also. In public services, we have Kamala Harris and Rishi Sunak, right? In academics, we have Hargobind Khurana and Raj Reddy also. So area wise as well as the interest regions as well. So you can do accordingly, right? But you have to make the examiner understand that we have understood that the question, it is specifically focusing upon the diaspora in the West, right? Now we'll move to the body, how you would proceed. We have divided this into two parts, economic and political benefits, and following the question, the pattern of the question, we would first write about the economic benefits. So what all economic benefits do we receive from the diaspora? Think about it. See, first we can say foreign exchange. Diaspora provides us a huge source of foreign exchange in form of remittances, right? 108 billion remittances were received in 2022, which makes India the highest recipient of remittances in that year, and it accounts for around 3%, 3.2 specifically of GDP. So you have given 2-3 facts in this statement, right? It becomes important point that remittances, they are economically benefiting the country to a large extent, and India is the highest recipient of remittances across the world, right? What other economic benefit would be there? Funding. The Indian diaspora, it is actually actively trying to participate in the funding process in India. Startups are getting funded, innovation is promoted, and then job creation is also seen. For example, the Khosla Ventures, Vinod Khosla, he is funding and even mentoring Indian startups, right? Initiatives such as Make in India also provide scope for Indian diaspora to be more involved in country's economic development, right? So funding is a major area where economics get benefited. Tourism. The Indian government has taken initiatives to connect with the diaspora, and the diaspora is also helpful in promoting or proliferating the Indian cultures and the values abroad. The Bollywood industry, it is very much popular in the European nations, right? And we generate revenue from that. They come to India for tourism, and then it also provides a huge source of foreign exchange for our country, right? Our government has taken initiatives such as Know India program or the Incredible India program. So they actually lure the Indian diaspora to connect with the historical ties, right, with the cultural ties to their place of origin, and which fosters the tourism prospects for our country, right? Apart from it, technology transfer. many Indian diaspora, they are involved in highly technological work in the developed countries, right? And it facilitates the flow of commercial ideas and innovation of and emerging technologies. They are brought in with the means of diaspora in our country, right? For example, artificial intelligence, big data, cloud computing also you can take. So all these technologies, India is getting benefit with the help of diaspora as well, right? Research collaboration, the professionals from the developed countries, the academicians, we can take up joint research projects. The Vajra scheme of India, it actually promotes the joint research assignments, associations among the top professionals, the doctors and the engineers, the teachers. They come to India to serve Indian public sector organizations for a brief period. So they actually lend India another perspective of looking at the research, right, and helping India to improve its research collaboration, right. Another point, philanthropy. The diaspora, the influential diaspora in Western countries, they actually look to participate more in fueling countries' development, in bringing socio-economic changes, in helping the rural development. So they donate very generously in our economy. We have successful examples such as Gururaj Deshpande. He is actively helping the Indian NGOs to scale up their operations, right. Pradeep Kashyap, he is also helping in the socio-economic transformation in India. Numerous examples are there of successful philanthropists who are contributing to the growth of India, right. Apart from this, healthcare. See, Indian healing practices, the traditional practices such as Ayurveda, such as yoga. So our diaspora, which are there in West, they are actually modernizing it, right. For example, the yoga studio concept, it originated in America, right, and then it became so popularized even within India as well, and which increases the scope for health tourism in India as well, right. India is becoming preferred destination for healthcare as well for the people around the world. So this will also help in generating more revenue for the country, right. So we have seen the economic benefits of the diaspora of India in West. Now we'll move forward to the political benefits, right. We'll take same keywords from the questions to let the examiner understand that we are still in sync with the demands of the question. First, voicing concerns. The concerns of India, they find a place on global platforms. Global support is coming to India as the issues which are shared, right. For example, the terrorism issue, the climate change issue. So with our diaspora present in those countries, a highly professional diaspora which are holding many high positions, they become influential also, right. Apart from it, some events which are also organized, such as the Howdy Modi event. It was organized in America, And during that, our Prime Minister and his foreign counterparts, Mr. Donald Trump, they signed agreements on joint collaboration for counter-terrorism, for example, in Afghanistan. So they actually provide support to India's interests, right? Lobbying, as our diaspora is present in those countries, they also influence the popular policies which are adopted by those countries, right? A very successful example of the lobby of Indian diaspora working in the United States, it is actually the conclusion of United Nation Indo-US civil nuclear deal. It was majorly a result of the lobbying from the diaspora. Apart from it, long-standing bilateral issues, they can be solved with the help of lobbies, such as the H-1B visa norms, they have been relaxed, right? Apart from it, the Indo-UK free trade agreement negotiations, they are being taking place with the help of diaspora, right? So our ties with the country strengthened, our interest, they are aligned in such a way that mutual beneficial can be gained for it, right? Diaspora diplomacy, this word itself is evidence of the importance of role played by diaspora. They actually act as the bridge builders between their home country and the adopted country. So there are various advocacy groups which promote diaspora diplomacy, right? In America, we can say we have this Indian American Community Foundation. Apart from this, there is a United States and India Political Public Action Committee, right? So these are just some of the few advocacy groups which are strengthening the ties politically and increasing the strategic partnership between the countries. Soft power, as Indian diaspora, it promotes cultures and arts. They also enhance India's global image. For example, we have taken Silicon Valley. See, the dominance of Indians in technology sector in Silicon Valley, it has actually enhanced India's image as a technological powerhouse, as a source of human resource generation, right? So India's image, it is getting a boost on the global scale with the help of promotion of its soft power, right? Favorable worldview. With all these things, as our global image, it is changing. Our Prime Minister, he is getting called as a very dynamic world leader. We are getting to a spot where India is actually recognized as a major power throughout the world, right? So it is giving a major push to the permanent seat that we are seeking in the UN Security Council. So this all helps India to gain its political objectives, right? Educational linkages. They also promote political ties. We can take example of United States also here. In 1883, during that times, only one student was there in United States. And now, more than 300,000 students are there in United States only. The students, they are increasingly going to the Canada to take part in the exchange programs with the help of scholarships. So they also cement the political ties as more engagement is there, right? as the student community is there, both the countries, they would be looking for their security, right? Their betterment and welfare measures would also bring the countries closer. So these are the political benefits that we gain from the diaspora in West. Now we have addressed the question. The main content of the question has been addressed till here. And now how to end this question, how to conclude this, we'll see. See, as the diaspora is important, the importance which is associated to the diaspora by our Prime Minister, it can be highlighted here, right? Diaspora as brain gain and not brain drain. So these kind of catchy statements, they can be used, right? Apart from it, just like I have said, Prime Minister's recognition of diaspora as strategic asset highlights its role in national development, and thus launching the global Pravasi Rishta portal is a step in the right direction. So we have in this statement, we have given that we currently hold diaspora in highest importance, and we are also taking steps towards increasing its importance. The Global Pravasi Rishta portal, the Indian government, it has actually decided to launch this as a communication platform between the diaspora, the foreign ministers, the consulars, meetings. So it would be a communication platform which would further bring the diaspora closer. So this is a futuristic conclusion that we can give to this answer, right? So you've understood the demands of the question and how we have addressed it, right? So now we'll move to another question. This was question number 19. Read through it. The expansion and strengthening of NATO and a strong US-Europe strategic partnership works well in India. They have made this statement. Now they are asking, what is your opinion about this statement? Give reasons and examples to support your answer. See, if you look at this question in the light of the previous questions we have discussed, statement was made and they have just said in the light of the above statement. So we knew that that was not the main question, right? In the previous diaspora question also, they made the statement that the diaspora has achieved new heights in the West. Now in the light of that statement, we had to enumerate the political and economic benefits for India. Here in this question, the statement has to be the main body, because the question, look at the wordings of the questions very carefully. What is your opinion about this statement? So now this statement has to be addressed in the question, right? And you need to give reasons and examples to support your arguments. Alright. This is a 15-marker question. So you would get 3 pages. You would get 3 pages to answer this question and 250 words. Right, you have to answer this in the 250 words. So how would you attempt it? How would you break it first? See, the expansion and strengthening of NATO, stronger US strategic partnership. So you have to give your opinion about it. When your opinion is being asked, you have to take both the sides. First, how it is working well as it is given in the statement, and how it is not working well also. You have to address that part as well, right? So how can you organize this information in three pages and in under 250 words? That becomes a challenge, right? See, if we look at this question, what do you consider as the main theme of this question? The central theme of this question, what do you understand by it? If you look at here, NATO is there, right? The stronger US partnership, US-Europe partnership, it is also can be seen in link with the expansion, right? These are just complementary global geopolitical developments, right? They are not contradictory to each other. So you can either take them together, view them in collaboration with each other, and or you can also treat them differently, that how it is working well, the expansion and strengthening of NATO, and how the US-Europe strategic partnership is working well for India, right? So you can take whichever way you want, it is up to your discretion, but since it's for 15 marks, I would generally advise you to break the question into 3 parts, right? If the question is this long and it gives you scope for breaking it down into 3 parts, so it would be give lot of points for you to write in your answer, right? You can say, so first working around the central theme is NATO actually, but the keywords, how NATO has expanded in recent time, that is the central theme. But in introduction, then how would you write this? In introduction, take them as complementary to each other, and how the increasing importance of these geopolitical changes, they are affecting India, right? You can write this in the introduction. It can come up till here, right? Then you can take it 2 parts. First, strengthening of NATO, positives around it. You can give 3-4 points in it. Then, what would be the second part? It would be the US-Europe strategic partnership. So you would give 3-4 points here. Then you can say how they are not working well, right? You have to take the other side also. So you can take how they are not working well. In that you can give 3-4 points. And then after showing expansion of NATO working well for India, how stronger US-Europe strategic partnership works well for India, and what are the concerns or what are the negative implications on how the geopolitical changes, they are not working well for India. So that would form the body part, right? And in the conclusion, you can write that all right, these are the changes which India is seeing, these are the changes which world is seeing, but as there are implications for India. See, the main purpose of conducting the international relations is to secure our national interests. So in conclusion, it can be highlighted that India, it actually needs to follow deft diplomacy to secure its vital national interests. India, it actually needs to tread very carefully to uphold its national interests and its long held values such as the non-alignment. So all that, the need to look at our national interest first, it can be highlighted in the conclusion, right? This is how you can answer this question. As the question is about NATO, the central theme, so we'll discuss just the changes which has, see, these are the changes, the NATO expansion and the stronger US partnership with the Europe. So these are complementary, right? And how they have come to effect with the expansion of NATO. It was actually established as a military alliance in 1949, right, in the wake of Second World War. And after that, see, another security pact was also there, the Warsaw Pact, but it was disbanded with the disintegration of Soviet Union and the following geopolitical changes. But this NATO, it has actually emerged very important. It has expanded and strengthened itself, right, with the changing situations. It has modernized itself with its capabilities, right. There is also an initiative of NATO 2030 initiative, which focuses upon making NATO relevant with the increasing security challenges throughout the world. So, as NATO has expanded and strengthened, it has brought new changes in the world. Many countries of East, America's East, NATO is expanding. The latest example of Finland, we can see Finland joined in 2023, and other countries such as Ukraine, they have also applied to join NATO. As it was formed initially to counter the Soviet Union, and it is seen in currently as against Russia, but we see that the countries which are in direct boundary with Russia, they are increasingly joining it, right. NATO's outreach to the eastern parts, it has actually created problems for Russia. China is also worried about its eastward expansion, as it would affect China's increasing influence, right. But how should India view it? The question is asking, the question is about implications on India, right. So how these developments affect India, we have to look at that in the question, alright. So we'll just see, look at the question. The expansion and strengthening of NATO and stronger US strategic partnership, it works well in India. What is your opinion about this statement? Give reasons and examples to support your answer. 15 marker question, and this is how you can introduce it. As I said, you can show that the NATO and US Europe strategic partnership, they are changing the geopolitical landscape. There are implications for the countries throughout the world, and particularly in terms of India, we will be talking about, right. This you have to give a hint in the introduction itself. So NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, you can also follow this approach, that while just keywords are given in the question, you can expand them in the introduction to make the examiner know that you are aware of the full forms, and you can actually show your knowledge here, right. So NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, and the EU, European Union, which is focusing about the Europe's role, they have been significant entities in the global geopolitical landscape, right. They have been significant but their expansion and strengthening, coupled with a robust Europe US strategic partnership, they have implications for the world and the various nations including India. Right? So here we have highlighted that the question, it is asking about NATO's expansion and how it can impact India. So this is very simple introduction you can give for this question. Alright. So now we will move forward to how to deal with this question in the main body, how you can organize the main content. See, as I said, these two developments, they are not contradictory to each other. So you can either write that what are the positives of both these developments and then what are the negatives. Two parts can be formulated in that manner. But as it's a 15-marker question and 3 parts can be formed, we have scope for that. So I have followed this approach where 3 parts I have made. The first part we will be discussing the role, the strengthening of NATO, expansion working well for India, right. In the second part, we will be seeing the US-Europe strategic partnership working well for India, and then we will look at how it is not working well for India, right. So we will address the first part. What do you think would be benefits of NATO for India? What all benefits can India get from NATO and its expansion? See, first, since it's a security grouping, it's a military arrangement, it would provide stability and security throughout the world and particularly for India as well. NATO has the motto of one for all and all for none. So it actually deters the potential aggressors, right, to engage in activities which would prove to be harmful for other players. For example, we can take China. NATO's expansion, it would actually counter China in its aggressive stances it takes in various parts of Asia, of Indo-Pacific as well, right. So to check China's growing aggressiveness, NATO would be helpful, right. Counter terrorism, as terrorism is a main issue which India is facing in the current times. Counter terrorism efforts of NATO and India, they can be concerted, right. Concerted efforts together, they can be taken towards countering the terrorism. For example, the UNSC resolutions which were brought with the help of NATO countries, the United Nations Security Council resolution 1267 and another is 2253. So these resolutions are examples against tackling the terrorism, global terrorism, right. Maritime security, NATO also looks to provide maritime security and it would also foster or further India's interest in tackling piracy and illegal activities in the Indian Ocean region as well, right. India's vision is also promoted. For example, the Sagar vision, security of growth, security and growth for all in the region. So Indian interests are also promoted with alignment with the NATO, right. Apart from it, common values. NATO, as it is dominated by mostly the developed countries, so democracy is a valued virtue in those nations as well, right. So they stand in coherence with India's commitments. Values such as democratic governance, human rights, liberty, equality, all that values, the gender gender equality also we can say. So they also gets promoted with the expansion of NATO, right? And India's values thus are also promoted, right? Creating a more favorable global climate for India, all right? And then we can see informal exchanges. As NATO is expanding, so it is also seeking actively support of South Asia and Southeast Asian region in diplomacy and discussions. So it is actually providing more voice to the nations which were hitherto unheard of, right? Initiatives such as NATO Plus, they are seeking for more engagement from those countries which are not directly are linked with NATO. Alright, so this would also increase India's role in the world and towards the common security goal as well, right? So this is how its expansion, it is actually working well for India, right? So we will now see that how the US strategic, the US-Europe strategic partnership, it is working well for India. The second part of the main content we are now dealing with, right? What do you think would be the benefits we can get from such a partnership? We'll see. Diplomatic support. See, as the countries which share interests, they come together, our interests, they are also strategically aligned with them, right? As we share common values, our issues are also promoted throughout. For example, India, it received support from the G20 members and the European Union as well after the post-Galwan clashes. So when we see that the countries which we share strategic interest with, they are also working in close cooperation, then our interests are also secured and promoted as well, right? So we receive kind of diplomatic support, right? It can help in counterbalancing other powers such as China, right? Apart from it, economic prospects, as both the technologically developed and economically well-sound nations, they are coming together. For India, there is also more scope for trade and investment. A more stable Europe with the backing of United States, it would also prove beneficial for India's investment prospects, right? There have been issues surrounding the intellectual property rights. So with the convergence of both these countries, we can actually come together and sort out our issues through dialogue, right? Apart from it, security partnership, as they are main military developed countries also, so we can have better defense deals, right? We can also enter into co-production agreements with those countries. As they come together, we can collaborate with them on 2+1 platforms also, right? We can see more support for India in the nuclear suppliers group. US has actively supported the NSG waiver for India, and while US and Europe, they would be in coherence with each other, for India there would be better support guarantee in the military arrangements as well, right? India's nuclear security would be provided in such an environment, right? Global issues, or we can say the environmental issues also, the United States and European Union, they are actively committed towards the climate change initiatives, right? For EU we have Fit for 55 campaign. For US also we have other initiatives which they are taking. So we can collaborate with them in various agreements such as the Paris Agreement to keep the global temperature to rise under 1.5 degrees Celsius, which is the current need for the environmental challenges, right? So with close collaboration of them, India would also be getting favored, right? Apart from them, multilateral diplomacy, we have seen both US and Europe, they are active in the international institutions such as the G20, the United Nations, and they actually help India to voice their interest on the global scale, right? So when these countries come together, they share around a common opinion on some issues, so India can be more benefited from that favorable view, right? India's UNSC permanent seat status, it can also receive a push as both these countries come together, and multilateral diplomacy can be helpful for India in that sense. Alright. In the outer space, see both these countries, they have very glorious space exploration history and projects which they undertake. So India, with their joint collaboration, it can help India's space agencies also, right? As NASA and ESA, the European Space Agency, they work in close cooperation. India also seeks to get benefit from it. For example, in our Chandrayaan-3, major support was given from both NASA and ESA's partnership in the telemetry area, in the satellite parts. So all those areas with NASA and ESA's collaboration, India also seeks to benefit in the outer space technologies, right? So these are the positive points which India gets from enhanced US-Europe strategic partnership, right? Now we'll see how the other side of this geopolitical developments can look. We'll see what are the negative fallouts of such a situation. I've taken the heading straight from the wordings of the question, again to link our answer with the question, right? So not working well for India, how? Economic disruptions. If there are problems in India's nearby region, the regional tensions between which hamper Russia and China, it can actually impact the global supply chains, right? And India being in close vicinity to those regions, it would be hugely impacted, right? So economically, India can suffer to a great extent if NATO is expanded in such a manner and comes contrary to the interests of Russia and China both. Strategic autonomy. India has always put forward its objective of strategic autonomy throughout the world, but the S-400 missile deals that we have with Russia, they are also a major point of contention in the US, right? So the expanded NATO, it can actually try to exert more pressure or India, right? There are also fears across India that India would also be viewed as a potential area for US to establish its military base, which would hamper India's sovereignty as well. So these are the situations where India have to be wary of, alright. Apart from it, delicate balancing. See, with our immediate neighborhood, there are many regional powers which are contesting now and then on major and minor issues. So the NATO and the strategic partnership between US and Europe, it working well for India, they can actually bring to more competition. For example, India and Pakistan. See, United States, it has been seen that it has mostly taken Pakistan's side on many incidences. Since its independence, Pakistan's independence, and during the times of Cold War, United States, it's been seeing that it is more tilted towards Pakistan. But now it's increasing importance for India, and India also playing a major role for that partnership. Ties between India and Pakistan can actually be strained with such developments, right? So new competition would be there. Global geopolitics. This is actually a very big fallout which can take place because of the expansion of NATO. See, when NATO is expanding, Russia can seek help of China, right, to counter NATO's expansion, and such a situation can actually lead to emergence of the Cold War situation again in the world, right? Russia and United States on one side, and Russia and China on one side, and United States and maybe some other countries on that side. So if such a situation emerges, it would actually it actually put India into a tight spot, as Russia is its all-time friend, right? We are dependent on Russia for our arms imports, for our energy security. But with increasing ties with United States, our balancing with Russia would be impacted, right? And then regional implications could be there. As India, it is a member of SCO, which is mainly this Central Asian, Eurasian grouping, yeah, right? And that of Quad on the other hand, which have developed nations such as Australia, United States and Japan. Also Quad, it is seen as contrary to Russia's interests and to counter China, which both of them are members of SCO. So it can be seen that more issues can arise within the region and hamper the effectiveness of such groupings as well, right? So these are the points that we can make, that how it would not be as beneficial for India as it could be seen by many, right? So this is how we have addressed the demand of question in 3 parts. First, we saw that how NATO is working well for India, expansion of NATO is working well for India, how the US-Europe strategic partnership is working well for India, and how are they not working well for India. So we've addressed the question into 3 parts, and then now at the end we would conclude this answer shortly by saying that these geopolitical changes, they have implications for India, but our main focus should be on our national interests, right? So we look at the conclusion. The evolving geopolitics require India to engage proactively with the important entities while maintaining its strategic autonomy, furthering its commitment to a rules-based, fair and peace-enduring world order. See, what this line it actually implies is that alright, India will engage proactively to secure its strategic autonomy. You have thrown few words such as strategic autonomy to fetch you more marks, but you also moves beyond your own national interest and say that it would also further the commitment of India towards a rule-based, fair and peace-enduring world order. So it shows that India actually sees these geopolitical changes for itself also and also for the world. So India, it actually sees a larger picture, paints a very good picture of India in conducting its international relations and viewing the global geopolitical landscape, right? So this gives a very positive impression of India's approach in the world, right? So by this concluding here, we have addressed the demands of this question, right? We discussed how we would introduce it, what would be the main content, and then a fair conclusion to this answer, right? So we'll move at the next question. The last question, which was there from International Relations in GS Mains paper 2. The question is, sea is an important component of the cosmos. Discuss in the light of the above statement the role of IMO, International Maritime Organization, in protecting environment and enhancing maritime safety and security. This was a 15 marks, so 250 words, right? Look at the question and try to see what are the main focus areas. How would you organize this question? Break it into few parts. Again, if you look at this statement, it is just discuss in the light of the above statement. Unlike the other previous question just we saw, this does not form the main body of the answer, right? So sea is an important component of the cosmos. It shows just the importance of sea and discuss in the light of above statement the role of IMO. The main part of the question is revolving around IMO in protecting environment and enhancing maritime safety and security. See, by these two words, what you should understand is that there are many areas in which IMO would play a role, right? But these are limiting words which restrict you to only these areas where role of IMO should be judged, right? So in protecting environment and enhancing maritime safety and security, you have to discuss role of IMO in those areas only, right? So the central theme of the question is IMO. How you would organize it into 3 pages. Till here your question would be there, right? A central theme is IMO, and we have also given a statement regarding the importance of sea. So we would have an introduction which would combine both the importance of sea and the role of IMO towards it or protecting the sea, right? So here we would write an introduction and also introduce just few facts about IMO in the introduction. See, as this is a 15 marker question and 250 words should be written, and there are 2 parts to the answer per se if you look at it. So it gives you scope to go more beyond the demands of the question, right? since it has been asking about role of IMO, so you can highlight role of IMO in different areas as well. You can highlight some principles which IMO is working upon, or how IMO is playing its role. You can take some measures of that. So just remaining in the sync of the question, you can add one more dimension to it, that you know that IMO is playing a major role, but for the demands of this question, you would be restricting yourself to these 2 points, right? So first part you can start, role of IMO in protecting the environment. You can write 5-6 points. You can start, or you can start its role from here and this from here as well. So you can start writing and this can come up till here, and then you can write a conclusion. So in the body you will write 2 headings, role of IMO in protecting the environment and role of IMO in enhancing maritime safety and security. Alright. So these are the 2 areas which we will focus on in the body. In conclusion, since the question you have to be in link to India's developments and India's significance for IMO, so you can just show that how IMO is significant for India, right, or what is the role India has played in this institution. So you can answer according to that. Alright. See, this question, if you look at it, it was a very unpredictable question, right? Not many people were expecting a question on IMO, International Maritime Organization. But for such questions, just like I said in the SEO part, right, when we prepare international institutions, and this becomes important as it's a specialized agency of United Nations, and in our syllabus it is mentioned that important international institutions and their agencies, it is also mentioned. So it becomes important. So for that, if the layout or the framework which I gave you, where you need to understand the members, who are the members, first you need to know that India is a member or not. So in IMO, India is a member, right? Apart from it, the focus areas, IMO, it is mainly for the sea routes, shipping industry you can say, or marine ecology, maritime security, all these are the focus areas of IMO, right? From the name also it can suggest International Maritime Organization. It would be focusing upon the marine ecology, right? It would be focusing upon protecting these areas for better trade prospects, right? And how does it functions? If you would have known these basic things, you would be able to answer this question, right? So just prepare on those lines from where you can interlink your knowledge and help you in writing such unpredictable answers as well, right? So as I talked about functioning, we can see how the International Maritime Organization functions. If you would have known this much, you would have been able to write a good answer in itself, right? So in IMO, we have 5 important councils: the Facilitation Committee, Technical Cooperation Legal Committee, Marine Environmental Protection Committee, and Maritime Safety Committee. So if you know that these are 2 important committees within IMO, which is focusing on environmental protection and maritime safety as well, you could have used these in examples, right? You could see a general role it would play. You can see the institutional framework is there. They would set some standards. They would formulate some regulations. So all this can be included here, right? Apart from it, there are 7 sub-councils, subcommittee on implementation of IMO instruments. So you know that IMO must be taking some instrumental measures to tackle the problem of marine environmental issues, right? Subcommittee on Pollution Prevention and Response, carriage cargoes and containers, navigation, communication, search and rescue. See, these areas, just that's what I'm saying. If you know the functioning, if you know the basic structure of any organization, you can tell about its functions, right? You can tell about its focus areas. You can tell that what the measures it could be taken, right? So it would be taking measures against pollution, against cargoes and containers, to protect the navigation, communication, search and rescue operations they have been undertaking. Subcommittee on Ship Systems and Equipments. This highlights that IMO must also be dealing with the regulations of shipbuilding and also equipments, right? Subcommittee on Human Element, Training and Watchkeeping. Now it highlights that the personnel must be trained here in IMO or with the help of IMO. It would be assisting members in such roles, right? Last is Subcommittee on Ship Design and Construction. So not only it protects the maritime maritime ecology and maritime area security is protected, but it also delves into ship design and construction measures, right? So with this knowledge you would have been able to answer well for this question. So try to understand the institutionals in such a framework that would help you across various stages of UPSC, right? So we'll try to see at the question. C is the important component of Cosmos, right? This is just a statement. This is not the important answer because the question starts here. Discuss in the light of this statement the role of IMO in protecting environment and enhancing maritime safety and security, right? But you also have to understand UPSC could have started from just here, discuss role of IMO in protecting environment and maritime security, right? But since they have given this statement, so we have to give justice to this statement and we have to write something about it. Take hints from the statement that how you can introduce your answer, right? Since the central theme is about IMO, so you have to link the first statement with the main theme. So in the introduction, you can say that the sea covering 70% of the earth surface, it's a very vital part of cosmos or plays an important role in balance of cosmos. The International Maritime Organization, it founded in 1958, is at the forefront of keeping this vast expanse safe, secure and environmentally sound. So by this, you have established a connection that sea is an important component of the cosmos, right? It helps in sustaining human life and not just human life, global trade is also facilitated by it, right? So it is a very important part of the cosmos. You have just highlighted the word from the question itself, right? You have given some data here also. Here also you have given data, right? And then after knowing that the sea is important, you show that to protect this important crucial part of the cosmos, we have created or established an institution, that is IMO, to look after the shipping industry or to keep this vast expanse of seas safe, secure and environmentally sound, right? The introduction has given a hint that sea is important and IMO is important in protecting it. Now we can go on to just write few things about IMO, right? As I said, we know that role of IMO is across various areas such as developing regulations. It develops regulations. Effective remedial measures are also taken by IMO. Information dissemination, it is also major role of IMO. Crew endurance, it means that the safety measures, they are taken within the limits of measures set by the IMO, right? So we can say that this all is the role of IMO within the different areas, right? Or you can take it otherwise, that okay, there is role of IMO in marine health, in protecting environment, in dealing with the pollution, right? So all these aspects could be taken here. So it's up to you, your discretion, that whatever you want to write related to the role of IMO in the introduction you can write, as it's a 250 words question. So you have the scope for writing beyond the points which are mentioned in the question. All right. So we'll move forward. Now you have to address the question, the main body you have to see. As I said, two parts would be there. One is protecting environment, another is maritime safety and security. So we would proceed in that order only, right? First we will discuss role of IMO in protecting the environment. So protecting the environment is generally a very vast area. Whatever IMO would do, it would fall in the area of protecting environment. So you have ample amount of points to write here, right? So we'll start the regulatory framework. Many measures, many regulations, they have been developed by IMO in reducing the greenhouse gas emissions from the ships, right? In enhancing the energy efficiency of the ships, right? And we can also give examples to substantiate it. For energy efficiency, we have energy efficiency existing ship index, right? To reduce the greenhouse gas emission, carbon intensity indicator is there. So some framework which IMO has developed to tackle the challenges environment is facing, such as the greenhouse gas emission, right? So a regulatory framework is there. Apart from it, marine pollution, as it's a maritime organization, it would have to focus on marine pollution. So many measures it has taken to solve the problem of marine pollution. The Marpol Convention, if you would not have heard of anything about IMO, this one thing you must be having in your mind, and across this you can formulate a number of points. That marine pollution it could tackle, marine ecology it would focus upon, reducing the temperature for the aquatic life, right? It would help in promoting the safe routes for ships, right? So all these you can give this example and you can elaborate upon those points. Apart from this, there is a London Convention, Oil Pollution Preparedness, Response and Cooperation, the OPRC Convention. OPRC Convention, it is mainly about building the capability of the countries in dealing with the major oil spills which are taking place in the maritime area, right? So these are the conventions for marine pollution. Now marine animals would also be protected by IMO, right? It has taken various measures to protect the whales and other cetaceans, we can say, right? Measures such as ship routing, so that their habitats are not endangered, right? Their population gets safe access. IMO has given guidance on minimizing the ship strikes, guidance on reducing underwater noise from commercial ships. So all these problems which are hampering the marine biodiversity, they are also looked at by IMO, right? Emission control. The emission controls in the maritime area, it is very important to secure again the maritime health and the biodiversity as well. So they are IMO, it has taken measures to reduce the sulfur and the nitrogen oxide emissions in the marine waters. For example, the global sulfur cap, it has put this cap so that the utilization or the use of sulfur in fuels in ship is restricted, right? Specific emission control areas, they are being created by IMO in dealing with the emission issue, right? Sustainable development. The International Maritime Organization, it has set a target to halve the international shipping emissions by 2050 compared to the 2008 levels. So they have set a target for themselves as well, right? And they also propounded a strategy in the 2021 against the dealing with the marine plastic litter in the waters, right? So by these innovative measures also, IMO is trying to promote the idea of sustainable development and keeping the shipping industry sustainable as per the needs of environment. Alright. We also see global collaboration. IMO, it has actively participated with many of the United Nations, other bodies, right, other agencies also we have connected with. Example we can take of the GLOW-X model. It's a joint initiative between IMO and between IMO, UNDP, United Nations Development Program, and Global Environment Facility. So these have come together for this GLOW-X model, which focuses upon increasing the marine efficiency, right, the electricity, the energy efficiency of the maritime security, right. So these all are the measures which IMO is taking in protecting the environment, right. Now we'll move forward to next part of the question, which is role of IMO in protecting marine security and safety. Alright. So we'll see first the institutional framework. As I showed you, there is a dedicated maritime safety committee in IMO, right. It meets annually and safety measures, they are submitted by this committee. It also works in collaboration with other committees such as the facilitation committee and the legal committee, right. So institutional framework is there in IMO. Safety standards, it has led to creation of some standards which would promote maritime safety. For example, the SOLAS Convention, safety of life at sea, right, it is mainly promoting the safety for the merchant ships. The International Convention for Safe Containers, it has actually given the guidelines of how to reduce maritime accidents, how safe transportation of containers can be taken place, right. The SUA treaties or the SUA treaties we can say, they are against those individuals who are involved in the unlawful activities in the maritime region, right. So it is against individuals to keep the maritime region secure. In the International Ship and Port Facility Security, ISPS code, it is actually looking at the security at the ports as well as the seas, right? So some safety measures IMO has taken, right? See, in exam, I don't expect you to remember all these examples, and nor there would be any scope, but you can take these examples and write according to the word limits and the space which would limit along with the time limit, right? So take some points which would be helpful in writing the answer, right? Navigation and communication, as it's an important subcommittee also, right? So it has taken various measures such as the search and rescue plan, right, to help all the countries to, and it is available for all the countries throughout the maritime region, so that no country feels that accessibility is hindered, right? Apart from it, the Global Maritime Distress and Safety System, it was established by IMO in 1992, and it makes use of radio and satellite signals to reach out the operators in the distant areas, alright. So to keep the navigation safe and secure, these measures are being taken by IMO. Piracy and armed robbery, as it is increasing problem in the shipping industry. So IMO, it has collaborated with international institutions such as the World Customs Organization to keep this area secure, right? It also provides assistance to the members who seek to develop their own regional and national measures. So IMO provides assistance to them also, right? Drug smuggling, it is also increasing concern throughout the shipping industry, hampering trade as well. So IMO has established close relationship with the United Nations Office of Drugs and Crime. So close collaboration with such institution help IMO in achieving the objectives it seeks to gain from, right? And then we can see the capacity building measures. IMO actually prepares also the individuals, or they can measure the measures they can take collectively also as the need arises. So capacity building measures are being taken by IMO through various multi-donor trust funds, right? Funding is provided. For maritime security, there is an independent International Maritime Security Trust Fund. So funding is provided to the countries to enhance their capabilities in dealing with the issues they encounter in tackling the challenges faced in maritime security. Alright, so by this we have addressed the two parts, role of IMO in protecting environment and enhancing maritime safety and security, right? We have discussed all the points, the regulatory frameworks and the safety conventions IMO has developed, and now we can conclude this answer. We have to bring a role of India into our conclusion to make it more comprehensive, right? We can just say that with increasing importance of marine ecology, IMO's role become even more vital. IMO's role would be even more strengthened, and India, which has been its member since inception, should play a larger role in protecting the sea as important component of our cosmos. You are ending the question with the introduction, which also gives a good impression, right? I have given a fact here that India is a member of IMO since inception. So these kind of points, they fetch you more marks independently, right? So the role of IMO, it becomes even more in the harmonizing global efforts as marine ecology, it takes center stage in global environmental concerns, right? And India, it should actually play a larger role in promoting role of IMO in keeping this area safe, secure and environmentally sound, right? So with this, we have dealt with all the questions which were there in GS Mains paper 2 from international relations sections, right? I have given you a framework regarding general answer writing as well, which would help you throughout the mains paper, right? With regards to these questions in international relations, I would like to make few observations looking at these questions. See, you would have seen that let me just change it. Current affairs, it is a very important part in international relations, right? The question on SCO, it was mainly because of India's presidentship in SCO, right? The NATO expansion, it is also linked to the current developments. So, current affairs, it forms a very important part of the international relations subject, right? Apart from it, basic theoretical understanding. We should also not restrict ourselves just to current affairs. I have heard the toppers interviews, they say that for current affairs, for IR, they only followed current affairs. See, that could not be a case because the questions are being asked which are in comprehensive sense, right? If you look at the diaspora question, it was from static concept directly, right? If you see the IMO concept, IMO question, it was also very unpredictable. So you need to have a basic theoretical understanding of how geopolitical things are changing, what are the things which are at stake. So all that understanding, it would help you write a better analytical answer in the whole, right? Apart from it, what you can see that focus areas. For example, while preparing any question for international institution, I said that membership and the functioning and India's role, there should be your focus areas, right? For diaspora, you need to look at the area-wise contribution of diaspora in those countries as well as the home country. So this would help you in writing better answers, right? Apart from it, you can say that syllabus, it is actually a guiding light for the preparation of your international relations subject. You cannot afford to ignore any topic from the syllabus, right? People generally give less importance to diaspora as less number of questions are being asked from that, but we have to see that the questions which come directly from the syllabus, they are actually low hanging fruits and we need to attempt those questions to get an edge over others, right? So in international relations, you should not leave any topic from the syllabus. Have a framework where you can develop the information and it will help you in other areas as well, right? So this was my basic observations about the questions. Hope you have understood the analysis and it would help you in better attempting the questions. That's all from my side. Thank you.